What's up, people? Welcome back to the Guardian File. And I'm here with another video. Before I go any further, make sure you hit that like and sub button. Let's talk about it. Earlier, I stumbled upon a video pertaining to fights in prison, riots, getting jumped, all that fun stuff. Then I decided to take a look at the comment section. And one thing that I noticed for the most part throughout the comment section was the question of where are the guards? Basically stating that the guards should be doing their job to break up the assault, the jumping, or the riot. That one person. And that's a legitimate question, especially if you're not familiar with what actually happens within jails or prison. If you're on the outside looking in, you may view a correctional officer as a police officer that works in the prison. So you may assume that they do the same exact things or have somewhat of the same responsibilities. And questions like that lets me know that there's a good bit of people that don't understand what actually happens behind prison or the actual responsibilities of a correctional officer, prison guard, whatever you want to call it. So in this video, what I'm going to do is actually tell you the responsibilities of a correctional officer, prison guard, jailer. What are they actually supposed to do? Now, the main job of a correctional officer, or basically any branch of law enforcement, is to protect the public. Now see, even though a police officer's job is basically the same, it's just done in a different way. You see now, a correctional officer's definition of protecting the public would be simply or basically preventing inmates from escaping, keeping them behind the walls and the fence. Now, I know it sounds simple and easy. Well, it actually is. You see, the police officers lock them up. We keep them locked up. And I know this sounds horrible, but it's just the truth. That's the main and the most important thing of being a correctional officer or working in a prison. Keep the community safe by keeping them behind the walls. Don't allow them to escape. Now, the second important thing that we do is, and it may sound bad, is making sure as our co-workers that we all make it home to our family the same way we left. See, this rule is basically what causes co-workers that work in the prison to have such a tight bond, because we all know that our lives are in the hands of the people that's working next to us or working within the same correctional environment. Now, being a correctional officer can be an extremely dangerous job. Now, granted, it's not normally what they make it out to be like on Oz or any other television show or movie, whereas they're prison scenes. Now, this also depends on what type of institution that you're in. See, with the feds, you have the Federal Penitentiary, the FCIs, the low, and the camps. Now, out of those four, the least dangerous one is the camp, because these guys don't have a fence that divides them from the prison to the community. So they have free reign when it comes to a lot of things. And see, to a lot of the inmates that are assigned to the camp, it's almost, they view it as if it's a step away from being free. And see, that type of freedom will cause an inmate to basically not F up. Because if an inmate F's up, then they go to lockdown, shoot. There's a possibility that their security points may increase, which will allow them not to be at the camp. Now, normally there's rarely anything pertaining to violence at the camp because these guys don't want to mess it up because that's the easiest way of doing time. And the next step will be a low. And see, even at a low, you're locked up. The camp is the only place that you're not locked up behind the door. So, inmates, since they're so comfortable and knows that it's not going to get easier than that, you don't really have to worry too much about violence. Violence towards another inmate, much less violence towards you. So basically, a camper's fear is actually what protects correctional officers in that camp environment. Because the truth of the matter is, those inmates, they can dictate whether we go home or not. And see, the second job would be to basically make sure you give the inmates what they have coming. Everything that within policy that they're supposed to have or do, you have to make sure you make that happen. It would be illegal otherwise. And that's normally not hard because there really isn't too much coming, especially anything good towards someone who's doing time. Now, I surely don't have the power to prevent an inmate, to stop an inmate from getting what he's supposed to have. It would actually be illegal. The warden doesn't even have that much power. So, there's been plenty of times where inmates have sued, whether it's the Bureau or state facility, sued and actually won. Actually won. So this is why so much emphasis is placed on it's not for you to actually punish the inmate because him doing the time is the punishment. And you are to make sure he has everything he's supposed to have. Nothing extra. Just what he's supposed to have. Next is medical treatment or access to medical treatment. Every inmate is owed that. And a lot of times it's on the officer to kind of push medical staff to actually do their job. Because if they don't do their job, it's not just going to be on the medical staff. It could fall back on you also. So this is why you can't just constantly accept medical staff saying like, I'll get you next week. Next time we have open house, make sure you come. Because sometimes the medical treatment needs to be taken care of right then and there. And it is an officer's job to make sure that happens. And if it still doesn't happen, that's when your paperwork comes out to cover your own ass because you did what you were supposed to do. Knowing that this is something that legally you can't prevent an inmate from having. The next thing an officer is supposed to do or accountable for is making sure that there's no property being damaged within that institution, such as blankets being cut open to hide contraband, blankets being torn up to make fishing lines, altering the uniforms, anything. You're supposed to make sure that they don't destroy it. So, at worst case scenario, if something is destroyed, you want to make sure it doesn't fall back on you. The next thing is preventing contraband from entering the institution. Now, there's so many ways that it's able to be done. You can only see so much. But you're supposed to try your hardest to make sure that no contraband ends up in the prison. Contraband meaning tobacco, whatever hard drugs that we have out here, wine, liquor, especially cell phones. You see, the thing is, this contraband or certain types of contraband, not only puts the officer's life in danger, but actually puts a lot of the inmates' life in danger too. And see, this is why there's so many inmates who are locked up, and they do a lot of telling. So I'm the police, so I'm not going to judge them for telling. I'm pretty sure they're already dealing with enough. But they'll drop notes letting you know whether something's going to jump off. They'll let you know where the cell phones are located, where the drugs are located, tobacco located, etc. You see, because there's a lot of inmates that actually just want to do their time and not get caught up in any BS. And in many cases, they don't have the luxury of doing that. But this is actually the ultimate goal for a lot of them at least during the time period that they're locked up. Because they want to make it home to their family just as bad as we do. So anything that could possibly put their lives in danger, they're going to make sure that you find out. And if you don't fix the issue or address the issue, they'll go up to the next person, which is a supervisor. Let them know that you told them what you told them and that he refused to do his job and deal with it. See, because these inmates, especially the timid ones, which is okay, I understand, but especially the timid ones, know what type of things can come behind the drugs being smuggled in, the alcohol being smuggled in, the cell phones. There's going to be a lot of violence that's pertaining to that type of contraband. They don't want to get caught up in the middle of it. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to be locked down for months at a time. So, to protect themselves, they're going to come to you, the correctional officer, and let you know what's happening. And if you don't address it, it's going to fall back on you. Now, the final thing that a correctional officer is responsible for is, listen carefully, doing your best to protect an inmate from being violated in any type of way. Keywords, your best. And see, the reason why I said your best, or place emphasis on your best, is one thing that we're taught is not to try and be a hero. And the Bureau is frowned upon for somebody, an officer, to actually jump in the middle of a fight. Because now you're involved, and now one of our people, our brothers and sisters, may end up getting hurt, if not killed. And see, whenever you're watching a video of a prison riot, and you're the type to ask that question, where's an officer? You see, what that officer is supposed to be doing is standing away from it as far as possible, taking mental notes on who's involved, what was involved, while simultaneously locking down the rest of the unit. Now, on top of that, you should be letting the staff that's coming to assist you, let them know by talking on your radio what's actually happening. See, you can't explain what actually is going on if you're trying to be in the middle of them fighting. And see, on top of that, jumping into something most likely is going to get you hurt, or the people that's coming to try to help you, that shifted their running in a whole nother gear, because they know that you're being assaulted and they got to get there, cause them to be hurt as well. So if you have a son or even a daughter that's about to do time or is in the middle of their bids right now, understand that it's not the correctional officer's job to strictly protect you or your family member that's locked up. See, then there's common sense on top of that. Because this really shouldn't be something that had to be placed in the rules or policy. So, if saying all of that, I'm pretty sure by now you realize that the correctional officer's main duty, before anything else, is to keep himself safe and his co-workers safe, the community safe. Yeah, they're going to try their best to protect the inmate, but you better not rely on that. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit that like and sub button. If you found the video informative, please share.